And then usually I keep the live stream up until I edit the video. We'll have a break today. So that break will be seen on the live stream. And then we run off. Oh, cool. Okay. Let me go and I hate when I do that. Okay, there we go. Done. Okay. 5, 4. Oh, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the live broadcast of We Could Be Wrong with your host, Christopher Harris, followed by
Renee.
I'm John.
Nicole.
And Mike.
Hey guys, so this is right before Christmas, and starting January will be our season 2. We'll be changing gears completely unless something really severe happens politically. We had a real interesting survey that I put out there. It's still out there. I'm going to have it out until probably mid-January. You'll know it's closed if you try to answer it and it says it's closed. But we heard you guys loud and clear. As you know, we have a limited staff today or panelists today. A couple of our people are doing their day jobs. One's actually still feeling sick from COVID. Another one is sick with the stomach flu, but we're going to continue to rock and roll. So I wanted to get to the survey. We had a nice response, guys. Please continue to respond with some of your thoughts and suggestions. We heard you loud and clear when I really want to read this to the audience because I found it to be very interesting. First of all, thank you guys. When it came to, was there a dip in listening? 21.43% said yeah. So we'll try to keep you guys entertained and laughing. And 78.52% said that you guys are still listening regularly, weekly. I appreciate that. Are you tired of politics? 73.33% said yes. And 26.67 said no. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the numbers was interesting to see those who said no. This is my favorite one though, because this one kind of goes with question 2. If you're tired of politics, are you guys tired of all the fighting amongst us? 53.33% said no, we're not tired of you guys fighting amongst each other. So that made me feel really happy in the fact that we kind of feel like family because family loves to fight. And 46% said no. Yeah, it is. And then we talked about some of the things you guys wanted to hear from us. Some of you guys a lot of you guys wanted to hear life stories. We got a ton of life stories. I know Renee gave an interesting life story talking to me earlier today. We have ethical questions. We have what's happening in the news. Matter of fact, that comes out a lot because that was 14% of you guys. And then you guys wanted to hear things that are taboo, aging and sex, loss of bodily functions. I thought that was interesting. And things that we don't usually talk about. Well, seemed like 85.71% wanted to hear all those things. So we'll be, sorry, I read the wrong thing back today. So we will be talking about that. And the second question was the panel size. We do have a big panel size. So 60% of you guys said leave it as it is. And I'm really glad about that because we get everyone. We get every aspect of everyone's personality, what's here in our country, and I think internationally, because we're now broadcasting in 14 different countries. Thank you guys that take your time and listen to us whenever you feel like it, and overseas and whatnot. You guys said 85. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Chris, you're whipping through everything there. I mean, body functions. Should I start writing down my bowel movements every day so that the audience can have a better sense of what's going on? Or...
It's all the things that are failing, Mike. Write down the fails.
Oh, okay, just the failures.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. John hit it right on the head.
Right.
Because I wrote this question, I've worked a lot of different positions as being a nurse, and I've worked hospice, I've worked rehab centers, I've worked assisted living, I worked home health. And one of the things I found a lot of my patients wanting to talk to me about is the fact that some of them have to wear briefs. They're like, dude, And briefs are adult diapers. And we see commercials of them all the time, you know? And, you know, I mean, for me, I feel more prepared if I'm lucky to get that age, and that's what happens for various reasons that happens though. You know, that I know what's going on instead of one day realizing, oh my God, I'm constantly wetting my pants. You know what I mean? I mean, even now, my stomach feels like it has a mind on its own. Not to be too gross, but I wake up, I usually defecate, I get myself ready and go to my day job. Well, now it seems like I wake up, I defecate, get myself ready, and I no longer eat at home for breakfast, because when I do, I know in the middle of my hour and a half commute, I start sweating. I'm like, oh, geez, please don't. And I start making deals with my stomach. Just let me get to work, and we'll do this, stomach, please. And I'm talking to my stomach as if it has a mind of its own, but it's really me, and I get pissed off at my stomach. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it's just a part of age. Because before, man, I could run through a day not even worry about it. But nowadays, I got to make sure things go like clockwork. You know?
Yeah, you're getting old. You're definitely getting old, Chris. I can tell that. Definitely getting old.
I know. Absolutely, this is so unprofessional. Have ice in my mouth. Okay. Another question I asked you guys was, hey, do you guys want gas? 85% of you guys want gas. Another thing of getting old, I'm jumping on ice and my teeth hurt. I could jump on ice any day when I was younger and my teeth would never hurt. Anyways, you guys said, we're like, yeah, we want gas. So guys got to know if for some of you who feel the panel size is big, there's going to be a guest included to that. But I think we do a good enough job not talking over each other. And sometimes we do, you guys understand how it is. But again, another thing that John brought up about the survey, feel free to write us what you want to hear about. We want to hear what you want to hear about. That sounds awesome. Let us know what you guys want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. Anything that's, anything. Hell, unless it's too inappropriate, too gross, then maybe that'll be a problem. But I'll bring it up though, hands down.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah.
God, the sky's the limit. Except crimes. We're not going to tell you guys how to do crimes. For a fact, we're not going to do that. So, because we don't know how to do crimes. Okay.
Nope.
So,
well, some of us don't.
I don't.
Yeah, some of us. Sean, when he's dangerous. Do the women on the show need to talk more? Yeah. So, literally 92.31% said yes.
Wow.
92.31% said yes. I guess you guys are tired of the sausage festival. We do have women, guys. And we
pressure,
have an
Nicole.
opening spot.
Okay.
Yeah, no pressure, Nicole. No pressure. We do have an opening spot for more women. We actually do. We have an opening spot for one more woman. And, there's some preferences, but to be honest, we're done with politics. We're done. Unless it's something crazy, we're done.
Well, and let's remember, we just went through the longest political presidential political season in our history, because we started even earlier than usual, because the states pushed up their primaries even earlier. So it's very understandable that we're all a little bone weary with politics right now, and that's fair to everybody.
Man, it still hasn't stopped.
No, still hasn't. But we're going to talk about other things other than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And try to keep it from becoming politicized, because one of our first topics this week is to talk about something that could easily become politicized, but I really want to do my best not to make it that way. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm already messing up this next question, because what I usually do is I put out the live stream link to everyone to watch live. I have not done it. If you guys are watching live, if you're not, it's my fault. I didn't put out the link. But you know what time you come on every week. Would you call in on a live show? 64% said yes. 35% said no. I thought that was pretty cool. And okay, so it's the same thing. Okay, so what was cool about this was the following question is, would you call in or would you chat live, like typing in, not call in, but typing in? and those two were reversed. This one says 69.23 says, yeah, we'll chat live. And I saw that on last week's show, people were chatting, and I was reading it. And Mike, who we got to have a follow-up with Mike after this, was one of the people to actually chat live and watch the show. I thought that was super cool. And he had a lot of things to say, which it's up to him if he wants to share that. We'll actually give him a little segment. I wish I had a little thing that said Mike, to let him talk. So yeah, guys, I mean, hopefully by season 2, which will begin in January, we do have one more show next week. It's our before Christmas show. We'll be a little festive. I'll do something festive. And we'll do that. That'll be on Wednesday. That's our special day. Will be on Wednesday. So that's some of the survey questions, some of the percentage. We hear you guys. We want you guys to participate more. We really want a woman who feels like she wants to be on the show. I mean, this could grow to other things. We have spin-off people off of here too, who have their own shows. I know Anderson has his own show, but he's like really ill. But
I'm concerned about Anderson. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about him. How's he doing?
So when I last spoke to him, he was really happy that he stopped getting those fevers. For those who don't know, Anderson had the Rona, tested positive. Mike had the Rona. Sun Tzu had the Rona, and hopefully we'll see Sun Tzu in some other shows. She's grown past us here on We Could Be Wrong, but she had the Rona as well. I spoke to her yesterday too. So with Anderson, he's complaining of feeling really fatigued. He missed his show yesterday as well. Oh, also one last beat before I continue with the Rona. John has his own show coming up as well. So if Anderson, he's like, Chris, I'm gonna miss this week, man. I'm feeling weak. I'm trying to get myself together. I'm trying to get myself totally together because he does his 2 shows.
Okay.
How are you doing, Mike? And I want to see, and I'll probably tell in what I heard from Sun Tzu and from Anderson and see if there's if you guys have all one thing in common. Tell us how you are after testing positive. How are you feeling? Do you still get those headaches? What's going on with you?
No, and that was the main thing for me that kind of convinced me right off the bat that I had the coronavirus. Was I typically do not get headaches, and I got a really bad headache right off the bat. After about 3 days, that went away. I probably the worst experience was sleeping. The first 2 nights, the first night I felt like my entire body was vibrating, and that was very strange. And then the second night I felt like I was on speed. I really did. I just felt like my head and my entire body was kind of just a very odd sensation. And then since then, just slowly gotten stronger and better, just hibernating with my ex, who also has COVID. And it comes with a cough, comes with a dry cough that doesn't go away. Her cough's way worse than mine. But every day getting stronger. So I think I'm very fortunate. I try to keep myself in shape. I do a lot of walking. I typically walk 40 to 50 miles a week. So I can't help but think that helps. So stay in shape, folks. Don't be overweight if you can help it. Huh, Chris?
Don't be overweight if you can help it.
Yep.
I feel very overweight all the time. Question to you: do you still feel, super fatigued?
No, not super fatigued. I felt real good. 3 days ago, I felt real good. Got some things done around here. And then the next day I was like, oh my gosh, now I feel real tired again. But the last couple of days I have not, dipped back into that fatigue again. So I feel pretty good, feel pretty strong. So I think I'm fortunate though. Obviously at my age, it could have been a lot worse from what we hear.
Yeah. And, and probably it is because when you said you keep yourself in shape, you mostly do walks, right? You're not there pumping iron.
No,
are you?
I don't.
Yeah.
My main form of exercise is walking. I typically get about, I don't swim as much as I used to. But I typically get about, 15 to 18,000 steps in a day. So that's, about 7 to 8 miles. But, I typically walk 4 to 5 miles, as a steady walk, to go out and walk for an hour. So the rest of it's just around the house and doing things. I don't watch, as you know, Chris, I don't watch TV. So I'm busy.
Why? Because you're better than all of us? You don't watch TV? Is that what you're
I
saying?
just don't care for TV.
Well, I'm gonna try to break you of that habit. I'm gonna try to get you hooked on HBO Max or something. Get you watching all the about your brain.
Man, your IQ will go up if you don't watch much TV.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. You made my case.
Yeah.
I guess we're trying to start fights already. I mean, we're pretty cool. But is this how we're gonna do it?
No, I was giving Mike a compliment.
Very high. I watch TV all day. Well, I question Mike's IQ too. Because he wants to be all prickly about not watching TV.
That proves his point.
Babysitter, guys. How dare you?
Dig it.
Yeah. Chris, I might move on if I were you to another subject.
Chris, do you just watch videos of people getting hit in the nuts all the time?
Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world. I love Jackass. One of the things that I wanted to bring up as a topic was I wanted to come back to culture, to cancel culture. It's something that I continue to see in our society and something that really bugs me. Are you guys familiar with the singer Sam Smith?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
A little bit.
I'm
Nicole,
not.
Can you please tell us who Sam Smith is?
Sam Smith is a wonderful R&B singer. I know that he is having some, I think that he came out as maybe non-binary or something like that recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was non-binary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty much the guy looks like Boy George. I mean, all of us were around listening to music in the 80s.
And we all thought Boy George was cute, and we all think Sam Smith is cute.
I don't remember thinking.
Never heard of the guy.
George was so
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, that is the female perspective.
Yeah, there we go. I did have pictures of him on my wall singing "Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, chameleon." But yeah, anyways, the dude looks like Boy George. And one of the things that popped up to me last week was there's, I believe, another musician. His name is Shawn Mendes. Is that right? He's another musician, or he's dating like a real popular female singer. And I guess those two work together. And Shawn Mendes was speaking about Sam Smith and referred to him as a he. The guy's name is Sam Smith, and he is biologically a male, right? And then I guess this guy was just talking about, oh yeah, I got to work with him. And that became an issue because he misgendered him. And this other musician had to go and apologize publicly to not get counseled. Not counseled, someone telling him something, but counseled as in no more to you, And that bugged me because he didn't mean it maliciously, or was he making fun of him? I mean, Sam Smith still looks like Sam. And I guess he's fluid. I think that's what the term is. He's fluid. Like sometimes he feels like a girl, sometimes he feels like a guy. So like, should someone have to do all that? Because I guess his pronouns is them, and that throws me off too.
Them.
Them,
well, especially since them is plural, meaning it's more than one.
Yeah. So
is he counting both of his testicles, or does he have those? I mean, he does.
That's a serious question. No, seriously, that's a serious question. I mean, I don't know if he's. I don't think Mike in no ways me being malicious about it.
No, I'm not.
Well, Chris, one of the things about that was that it wasn't even Sam Smith that was like, "Oh, you did this to me and you're horrible" and all that stuff. It was third parties that were doing it, not either of the two that were involved. And that's where a lot of that stupidity comes in. The guy isn't out there trying to offend everybody, and then you know, there's somebody just watching messages or just watching, oh my God, look what you did, you know, as somebody who wasn't even involved. And that's like the worst part of this thing. Like what, if it didn't offend the person who it was about, what does it even matter for the others? It's not like they were out there defending the original guy. It's not like they were out there defending Sam Smith. It's that they were defending an idea or a premise that this guy, for whatever reason, just didn't say. He said the thing that was natural to him. He said, you know, I worked with him. So, I mean, it's just, if it was the original guy that said something, okay, and you want to make up with the guy, great. But people that just watch this stuff and then just jump in for no reason, trying to start stuff, I mean, that's just stupid. They're just jumping in to create havoc.
See, I think that's a very important piece right there. They're coming in to create havoc. I think a word being used is virtue signaling or signaling.
Virtue signaling.
Does anyone know that word?
Wow.
Yes. Can you give a better definition? I can't even pronounce that word. Like, can you give a definition of that, please, Sean?
Yeah, virtue signaling is you're doing something to tell people how good you are. So you're saying, I'm the most virtuous person in the world. So I noticed that you did this and that's bad, and I'm calling you out for it. And I'm calling you out for it so everybody knows that I know that you did it, and I would never do that.
Interesting.
What about you, Nicole? What do you think about all this? Do you understand why a third party had a right to even butt into these people's relationship?
I don't understand why a third party had to come in and say something, because Sam Smith is obviously a person who can speak up for their self. But I also think, like, I wasn't really sure what pronouns Sam Smith liked also. I don't think that was, or maybe I just didn't read it, but I don't think it was like made very public. And but I do think that if that's Sam Smith's friend, more than just a working person, he should probably know what pronouns to use. And I think it is very respectful to use the pronouns that someone chooses, but I don't think the third person had a reason or a right to, you know, come virtue signaling for no reason. If the person that Sam Smith wasn't offended.
That's not what virtual signaling is. Virtual signaling is ego. It's if I understood John right, it's saying things in such a way to make yourself look like you're virtuous.
Well, I feel like it's that because they're like sticking up for people when they don't need to be sticking up for them, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what they were doing. Like, oh my God, look.
Yeah,
but,
look at me being
I kind of want to go back to what you said. Yeah.
So great, and like, you know, making sure everybody's pronouns are right.
I kind of want to get back to what you were saying before, because you're like, hey, if someone wants to be referred to this, I think we need to respect that. Is that everywhere? Is that in the workplace? Is that, you know, out in the street, I guess? Is that everywhere? We should respect that?
I think so. I mean, I think that you should respect people, and if that person is saying that they're something, you know, a different gender than what they look like, you should respect that. That's, you know, a deep core thing to them and a part of their being. So yeah, I think you should always respect it.
Well, I'm big on respect, but I'm having a lot of difficulty with this particular concept, just because he decides to change how he wants to be identified. He would be upset if others didn't go along with that. What if he wanted to be a poodle? I'm not trying to be stupid here, but what if he wanted to be a poodle or a German Shepherd? Would I upset him if I didn't refer to him as a German Shepherd? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be stupid. I'm just, why does he have the choice to all of a sudden decide, I want to be a them?
Well, he probably didn't all of a sudden decide it. I mean, usually when people are transgender or, you know, another sexuality that's not just like heterosexual. That's something that they've known for a long time. Just because he's only feeling comfortable coming out with that now, I mean, it's not like it just happened. I'm sure he's known that for a long time.
Well, if I was working with, does he identify as a her or a him? See, that's the thing. If I was working with
non-binary.
No,
So
that
he's
he
fluid. So one day,
whatever he decides on that
Yeah.
day. I think this is. I think honestly, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but me personally, I think it's ridiculous that I looked on Google and overall it says about 4.5% of the U.S. population is gay. 4.5%. That means that 4 out of like 100 people are gay. So you're gonna have someone that's gay, transgender, whatever it may be, with all due respect to them, but they're not gonna control how I feel or what I say. They are what they are biologically, and if I call them by that, that's what they are. That's the way I feel. I mean, the guy wants to be a woman one day, be a guy the next day. That just, to me, that's just ridiculousness. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that's why, and not to be political again, but that's why I identify myself as a Republican, because Republicans feel the way I feel. I don't like this whole like, we're gonna have a minority of people dictate and try to tell the rest of us how we should act or what we should say or how we should treat or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? It just, to me, it doesn't make no sense.
You don't think that people have the right to like be respected and expect people to treat them the way that everybody else wants to be treated?
They do, but don't tell me how to do it. That's their problem, not mine. If they can't decide what they want to be, or they're confused about what they are or how they were born, then that's their problem. That's not my problem. Don't put it on me. Don't get upset with me because I'm just being, you know, I'm looking at them as what they were born. I mean, I'm not, look, I have relatives that are gay.
But
I don't have any problems with it.
It's a decision for them to be gay? Because I don't really feel like it's a decision. They're not choosing like, hey, I want to be a guy today. Hey, I want to be a girl on another day. Like if someone, and they're not, I mean, people are not usually like choosing different sexes to be like every day anyways. But I mean, you are born like with your sexuality. You're not choosing that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same thing. Like you were born, you know, with your sexuality, and nobody wants to argue with you about that or like call you a lady.
Except his wife.
I'm not,
maybe.
hold on.
Maybe his wife.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is this particular guy. This guy wants to be a girl one day, a guy the next day, and whatever he decides on that day. Don't come with me with that bull crap. That's just him being arrogant and trying to put his will on everybody. Like, oh, well, what do you mean? I want to be this today. I want to be that today. Come on, that's just nonsense. If you're born a woman in your mind, then be a woman in your mind. If you're born a man in your mind, then be a man in your mind. But don't start throwing this craziness at us and expect us to understand because you might have some kind of mental issues and not being able to decide.
Also, Sam Smith was not the one who was upset about it. It was the third person.
Yeah, but still, I Googled him right now. He kind of looks like a guy that wants to throw his will at people. Oh, I want to be called that. I want to be called this. Like, come on, man. Like, take stuff serious. That's why people get upset when this kind of topic comes up. Because look, man, you're just being ridiculous. And he probably likes the attention, and he probably likes, you know, all that stuff. He looks very flamboyant. You know, like one. You know, he just looks like, I don't know the guy, never heard his music, never seen him, but just by looking at him, like doing this and being flamboyant in his pictures, I could see he's a flamboyant guy that wants to put his will on everybody. Oh, you're going to call me this, you're going to call me that, you know? That's what I see. I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be judging him by his pictures, But I don't like that. I don't like when someone's trying to throw their will on me. Like, oh, you got to call me this, and I want to be this one day. No, today I want to be that this day. No, stop playing games. You know, that's why gay people are bashed, and that's why gay people are looked down upon because of idiots like this guy
that's
that
not
can't
why.
decide. That can't decide what he wants to be. One
That
day
is
a girl,
not why
one guy.
gay people are bashed.
Maybe
Gay
one of the
people are
reasons.
bashed because people are assholes, basically, and they don't accept other people's different lifestyles in there. Gay people are not bashed because of what gay people do.
Okay.
Gay people are bashed because other people are insecure.
Let me say
and
something.
Don't know how to handle themselves and have a problem with it. It's
let
not
me
the
say
gay
something.
people.
Let me say something. I know plenty of respectable gay people that act just like I do, that act just like you do, and are very normal. They really believe that, or they feel in their hearts that they're men, or vice versa. They feel like they're women, you know. And I have no problems with them. I treat them with all the respect. But let me also tell you this. I'm an elevator mechanic and I've worked in San Francisco. Okay. And I've seen a lot of gay people out there that are very disrespectful, very flamboyant, and don't give a crap about showing anybody respect. They're
what
on
are
the
they
street.
doing that's disrespectful?
Okay, you obviously haven't been to San Francisco.
My daughter's gay, so I know something about gay people, and I have lots of gay
and is
friends.
your daughter?
And also, if you also really want to know, I am LGBTQ also. So go ahead and tell me how gay people are being disrespectful in San Francisco, where I have been actually.
Okay, if you go to certain parts of San Francisco, they're walking around naked in public. During their parades, they're doing a lot of crazy stuff. Why can't you be a respectful? Why do you have to be flamboyant and all that? Why? Just because you're gay doesn't. I'm heterosexual. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna go out and expose myself or do crazy things like that. Do you think that's disrespectful or not?
No, I don't think it's disrespectful.
Oh wow, then we're totally on two different worlds. That's what I mean.
We already knew that.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that.
The thing, the idea is, okay, hold on. I have a special guest coming in. My guest, hold on, give me a second. He is someone of the LGBT community, similar to you, but I wanted to hear his opinion because not everyone in the LGBT community all feel the same, right? There are some that have different feelings than other, and that's the whole point, is everyone feels completely different. Caller, are you on?
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about, do you want to use your actual name, or did you want to use?
Sure, you can use my name.
Okay, so we have Edward on the line. And Edward, can you please give us your thoughts? I know you and I spoke many of times about non-binaries, bisexuals, and whatnot. Can you please give us some of your thoughts? I know you consider yourself a homosexual male. Your pronoun is still him. Okay, yes. Can you give us your thoughts? Let's listen.
Well, the non-binary are very interesting because they're not like one or the other, right? So they don't necessarily identify as male or masculine, and they don't necessarily identify as feminine or female. So it goes basically without description. It's a very interesting spot. It's not necessarily tough. It's just their way of basically saying, like, I'm not one or the other.
How do they, in terms of a relationship, to whom do they relate? Do they relate to women more or men, or does it depend on the person, or am I being clear with my question?
It does depend on the person, yes.
Oh, okay.
It definitely does depend on the person because as far as like a romantic relationship goes, it just depends on them in particular, because they could be attracted to somebody who may be feminine or masculine. It's going to vary for them.
As a homosexual male, would you date a non-binary or bisexual?
Sure.
Is there a difference between non-binary and bisexual? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just trying to get some clarity myself.
That was my question.
Okay.
Great question.
Well, okay. The bisexual, they vary as well. So, for example, you can have a male bisexual who might be masculine. You could have a bisexual male who could be like in the spectrum of like femininity, and they can still be attracted to women and men. So it just varies. And it's the same thing with a bisexual female, you know, they could very much be tomboyish. They may even appear to be very lesbian. And I'm talking specifically like maybe like a butch lesbian versus like a lipstick lesbian, like somebody who's a little bit more on the softer side of somebody who appears more feminine, more. So they can be just as bisexual, and then they can have any type of romantic relationship that they may want, or a sexual relationship that they may want with somebody that they might like. And it could be anything or anyone, really, as far as the spectrum of sexuality goes.
Okay.
So I want to bring you in a little bit on a conversation that was happening prior to you joining us on the show. One of our panelists felt that, you know what, they don't want to go out of their way to make sure they have the right pronouns or not. Because, you know, one of the questions I asked was, hey, is it disrespectful if they say, hey, I want to be considered them, but we call that person a him or her, whatever their biological looks like, right? Because we're just trying to have a conversation, trying to get through something right away. You know, unfortunately, I do this a lot of times where I'm multitasking and maybe I call someone the wrong name. But, you know, I don't make a big deal out of it unless they like give me a real funny look. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I got to do a million things. Is that discriminating against them? Is that being disrespectful to them? Prior to you coming on, there was a conversation where this person's like, you know what, man? He goes, you know, the panelist says, I just want to go through my day. They don't need to go out of their way to let me know what pronoun they are. Let's just do whatever we need to do and move on. And this person started describing about some of the negative experiences he had while being in a city such as, you know, San Francisco. Then another panelist retorted and was like, hey, no, they've been through a lot of discrimination. And, you know, and there was a little back and forth where they're like, hey, you know what, we got to respect them. We got to go this extra mile for them. I think I'm being fair in how I describe this conversation. One felt like we need to go an extra mile for them because of all their discrimination. And the other one's like, look, I don't need all that. Let's just be normal people. Let's go through. And what I believe they mean by normal or respectable is that let's just treat each other like we would treat each other regardless. And let's go through what we need to get through to get to the end of the day. Have you felt, because I know you felt you've been discriminated against, but do you feel like we should go that extra mile for the LGBT AI community? Sorry, forgive me for not getting it right. You know, or do you just think that people shouldn't make a big deal about what their gender identity is and just go through the day? What's your opinion? Being someone of the LGBT community, how do you feel?
Well, the thing about this in particular is with the pronouns, with the they, them, and stuff like that, is that it may appear to be something completely new to our society currently, because a lot of people really don't know what it's all about, and it can be very confusing, you know. I've heard people even say, why they, them, like how many personalities are in there, and they go through the...
That's so funny, because that was today on the show.
Yeah, so they go through, like, some people that are familiar with, like, let's say psychology, like that, it can be pretty alarming because they might think that, you know, maybe this person suffers from multiple personalities, but that is not the case at all. What's happening here in particular is that I haven't spoken to anybody personally that identifies with those specific pronouns as they, them. But I have spoken to some who they don't necessarily use those pronouns, but depending on the day, they're either she or him, right? So you have people that are fluid, that from one day they're very, very feminine, and then the next day they can be maybe a little bit more masculine than usual. And
let me sort of tighten this up a little bit. I'm sorry for interrupting you. But my actual true question is, and I want to hear your opinion. Would you do this, even though you just identify as a homosexual male? Are you willing to go that extra mile for them, or is that just, do you feel that's ridiculous?
I don't think so, because I mean, to me, it's just like I'm a gay male, and that's as far as I can go. Like, I don't feel that one day I'm more feminine or more masculine.
Would you feel that? Well, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking
if
is,
I would address them in such a manner,
yes,
I have to explore it more. Like, I'm still in the dark with it, and I think it's very important for all of us to like know exactly what it is, to really know what it is, to really familiarize ourselves with these with this group of individuals that identify as such, and really get to the bottom of it. And the thing about approaching this, I think it's very hard for some of us because we have our own biases, right? We have our own upbringing and history, and some of us haven't really been exposed to it at all. I mean, I can honestly say that I haven't, and I'm a homosexual male, and I've been around a lot of different sexualities in my lifetime. But this is one in particular that has been a bit elusive to me. You know, I came across it like, you know, really on the news with like protesting and such, like people just demanding for that identification. And I know there's a backlash because a lot of people in communities, they don't understand what it is or where it's coming from. And I do believe that it deserves a further look, you know?
Could it be that these people are mentally, there's a problem mentally with them?
No, there isn't. Because, well, I mean, because if it's just an issue of identifying, that doesn't necessarily make you a person that is necessarily depressed. It's not necessarily, you know, an anxiety or something like that, like what would be like a common mental health issue.
Well, and confusion. They're obviously confused. They don't.
Well, the confusion, the confusion is coming from people who don't understand them. That's where the confusion is coming from. And like I said, it's something that has to be paid attention to before you can assess anything. But as far as like, is there a mental health issue? None of the professionals are diagnosing them as such.
Well, it becomes a bit problematic in dealing with someone when, like you're saying, you know, well, I'm feeling more feminine today than I'm feeling masculine. So, okay, all right. So what? I mean, there are days when I'm feeling more feminine than masculine, perhaps. You know, there are days when I'm more emotional or whatever. I'm, you know.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I don't understand. Like, I have a lot of issues, but I don't throw it in people's faces. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my issues. Like, I don't make sure that people know about it, and you know, that's just the way. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It's just something weird to me.
I mean, I think addressing it as an issue might be part of the problem, because it's not necessarily an issue. It has to do with an individual identifying themselves.
Yeah.
But then it becomes an issue when, you know, he didn't identify me right, you know, or oh, that's not the way I feel today. Like, you're making an issue. Like, that's not my issue. That's your issue. That's what I meant by, like, don't throw that on me. You know what I'm saying? Just because you feel a certain way, you have some issues, that's not my issue. So, like, let me just go on with my day, and you know what I'm saying? That's just the way I feel. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well,
that's fine. This is the point of having the conversation.
So, like, the thing about it is, it depends, I guess, on who you're talking to, right? Because you can catch any person on the wrong day and they're going to give you their issues, regardless if they're sexual ones or not. You know, anybody can have a bad day and just tell you to fuck off or whatever, you know, like I'm here with my groceries, leave me the fuck alone or something.
Absolutely.
Like that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be like issues, you know, somebody who's irate or something like that, but somebody who's willing to explain their identity, I think it wouldn't hurt to listen to them if they're really not having a bad day and they just want to educate you on the topic.
I get that. Okay.
John,
but I guess
as a conservative, go ahead, Renee, please finish.
I guess where I was getting at was this guy, Sam Smith, said he's fluent or whatever. And some other guy said, or didn't identify him correctly. So people other than them had issues with that. So that's where I'm coming from. Like, you know, that's people, you know, just, I don't know. The whole issue
Sam Smith.
Some singer, I guess. Singer.
A celebrity.
Yeah.
Everybody not know who Sam Smith is.
Yeah, there was.
Never heard of the guy.
I didn't know until I read the article.
You guys gotta listen to some music. Jeez.
I listen to music all the time.
I listen to music all the time too, and I know exactly who Sam Smith is.
Oh, Chris, you're watching TV all the time.
I try to stay away from bad music.
I
try to stay away from horrible music.
Well, Edward,
John, a lot of people have preconceived. Oh, hold on, Mike. Hold on.
I will. Go ahead.
John for
go for it. Now. Go ahead. Go.
Okay, John. A lot of people have preconceived notions about ultra conservatives, okay? And they think they're super intolerant and all this other bad stuff, when the majority of them are not. So you as an ultra conservative, you've been mighty quiet. How do you feel about all this?
Well,
I think he thinks that I'm ultra conservative after my rant. Go ahead, John.
No, I think Chris thinks I'm ultra conservative. I think I'm moderate.
Okay.
I can let you know you're not moderate. Yeah, I can let you know right now.
I mean, this goes down to there's some of this. There's a lot of this stuff that I actually agree with Renee on, in regards to if you're going to have freedom and you're going to have liberty, then that has to be a two-way street. So, and I think we've talked about this before, but whenever you start into the factor of I'm going to force people into doing this, or I'm going to force people into saying this, as opposed to you saying, look, here's the issue. Here's what I would like. You have the free exchange of ideas. You have an explanation. You have a talk. You have people talking back and forth. And in this case, in the one that we're discussing now, it was people who were completely outside of the situation jumping in and saying, you're a horrible person and you did this and you did that, essentially trying to force this person down a narrative or down a pathway that the original guy didn't even know. That's not liberty. Force is never going to equal liberty. And so when you come in that side and in that fashion, you're going to have people backlash. You're going to have people, blow up and say, no, there's no way in hell I'm going to do that, because you're forcing me to try to do it, as opposed to just saying, hey, look, here's the idea behind it. Here's this, here's that. This is how I feel. These are the ways that this affects everybody. These are the ways that it affects only me. So that's why I think you brought up that virtue signaling piece on it. These third-party people who probably don't know either one of the two main people involved are going to throw out stuff just so they can say, look at me, I'm the best. I know how everything should be. Where was the intent? Where was the motive? If you're going to condemn somebody, where was the motive? Where was the intent in maliciousness? If there was no intent, you're on the wrong side of this path. And
you agree with that, right, Nicole?
I agree with
John just said?
Well, I mean, I agree that the third person really didn't have a right to get all up in arms about it. I think if somebody wants to educate you about their gender identity, you should take the education and respect them after that. But I mean, I don't think
that's if they want to educate you on their gender identity,
well, I think
not
like,
someone else.
You have to educate people. Like if you're a transgender person and you don't look on the outside like you are on the inside, you do have to educate other people to, you know, help yourself be comfortable.
Let's just say I'm the transgender person. It's up to me to educate you on me, not my friend here to educate you, correct? Okay, then that's okay. What was the second part you were saying, John?
I don't have any. I don't remember.
About motive. No, the motive was really important part of that. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's no motive here. He wasn't trying to be insensitive. He wasn't trying to be cruel. He wasn't trying to be harmful. It was just a statement. So because there's no ill motive, how can you assign an ill, you know, like he did something wrong? And that makes a lot of sense. To me, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I agree with that too. I mean, he wasn't trying to be malicious, so that would be like a time for education, not a time to like, you know, say like this guy's so horrible for doing this. You know, that's my opinion on it.
And then that jumps back into that whole thing about everything has to be down this pathway. You have to follow these rules. You can't do this. You have to say this. You can't do that. And that's where a lot of the backlash comes from. It's not whether you're going to accept an idea, it's whether you're going to accept the force of the idea on you. And that's where a lot of people draw. And I can tell you just personally, that's a huge thing for me. If you try to force me into something, even if it might be right, I'm going to fight you on it because I don't want to be forced into anything. But if you have the exchange, the ideas, like Chris, you and I used to work for the same company a long time ago, right? You and I both worked with a male who is transitioning into a female.
Yeah.
This person, you know, called me up and said, "Hey, can you come in? And because I need to talk to you about some stuff." And so this person said, "You know, hey, this is a direct report from me." Came in and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. I want to make sure you know about this." We sat down and we had a conversation about everything that this person was worried about. And I don't want to say names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
I know exactly who you're referring to.
Dox out anybody, right? Mm-hmm. This person, this was me and this person sitting in a room and just basically going over everything. And this person was nice enough to say, "Here's what you can expect. Here's the type of things. Here's what I need from you. Here's all these things." And we had a conversation that was really good. Now, whether I agree with this person's decision to do whatever wasn't even the basis of that conversation. The conversation was, we need to understand what's going to happen because we need to do business together. We have these other goals. This is going to affect me. This is going to affect this person and so on. Now, for me personally, I see this person as a conservative, as a Christian. I see this person as somebody that God created. This person is special. This person has value, regardless of anything else. That person has value, has life because God gave him that value. God gave him that life. And I would do whatever I could to help that person or do all those things that I would want to do to show that I believe that. But this person didn't come to me and say, "Hey, John, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And if you don't, I'm going to punch you in the face." And and obviously that's an extreme circumstance, but
the thing is, I think that's what Renee was talking about when he said, "I've seen some really rude or inappropriate or inconsiderate." I think that's what he was talking about. For those who just feel entitled to it and demand you to respect whatever's going on. And, you know, he felt exactly what you were talking about, John. He's like, "I don't want to be forced to treat you this way." Now, I'm sure if they would go to Renee and be like, "Hey, you know, blah, 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 Renee would be like, "Oh yeah, sure, man, no problem. You know, I'm just trying to get through this."
No, here's the way I feel. I feel like you could be gay, you could be gay, you could be transsexual. As long as you're a good person and you're respectful and you act just like anybody else would act, I have all the respect for you. As soon as it turns into something else, as soon as it turns into something else where, you know, you want to be flashy and flamboyant and you want to throw it in my face and you want to make sure, you know, that's just like, dude, like, why can't you just be a normal? Why can't you be respectful? Why can't you just be like, you know, I respect people that respect themselves. That pretty much, that's what I'm saying.
So, okay.
It don't matter what you are, if you're gay or whatever.
Are you against the Pride Parade, because that's the only time I really ever see anyone throw anything in my face during the Pride Parade.
Why
whatever, I
even
don't
do
care.
that? Why even do that? What purpose
The same
does that
reason why
serve?
Puerto Ricans have the Pride Parade or the Irish have their parades. For the same reason, they're just proud to be whatever they are.
But there's nothing. Okay, because you're gay, you have to be indecent. I don't understand that.
Well, hold on. Wait, not everything is indecent, and being indecent is a perspective, right? What could be indecent to me may not be indecent to you. But I do understand what you're trying to say, like especially like during that Folsom Festival thing. I've seen some pretty wild things. But beyond that, I'm just saying, like, there's a time and a place, as long as no one's approaching you inappropriate in a workplace or something, right?
No. Yeah, you're right. But all I'm trying to say is I respect anybody, no matter what gender, no matter what, if you respect yourself and you respect others. That's it. That's all I got to say. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I agree with you 100%. Is there any other questions we have for Edward?
No, I thank you very much, Edward. Very
no problem.
Thank you, Edward.
Yeah, very candid and very straightforward responses. I really like that. That was very helpful.
Just to be clear, Edward, you would date a bisexual, right? Is that what you're saying publicly?
Sure, why not? As long as they're nice and they pay their taxes, why not?
Okay, well then. Okay, cool. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Got to pay your taxes, man.
Got to pay your taxes,
or the line in the sand.
Absolutely. There you go. You pay your taxes.
Okay,
you're
guys,
a good American. I don't care what.
Let's take a restroom break.
There you go.
5 minutes, and then we'll close it up. 5-minute break, and then we'll close it up.
Okay.
That was fun.
That was fun.
That was fun.
I hope I didn't come off like crazy, but I'm just trying to say, like.
No, you didn't. No.
Hey.
I just think that. Go ahead, Mike.
Because
what was your perspective?
Because according to Nicole, she's okay with people walking around naked. Like how is that normal?
Are you okay with people walking around naked, Nicole?
Renee? Have you been
to
Pride?
No.
I've been to Pride before, and what I can tell you is that I've been to Pride multiple times, and I've never seen someone naked. I've seen people in short shorts, which is something you would see at the beach. I honestly haven't seen anybody in anything that I wouldn't see at the beach. And my kids go to the beach. So why can't they see people?
I've been to Pride, and I've seen people naked at Pride. I've also went to the Folsom festival in San Francisco, and I've seen a lot more than just people just being naked.
I haven't been to Pride in San Francisco. I've only been to Pride in San Diego, so I can only speak to what I've seen.
I went to Pride.
A friend of mine thought it was funny the other day on his Facebook story. He snapped a picture of a guy in San Francisco standing on a corner, completely naked with a little Santa Claus hat on top of his penis, and said, "Only in San Francisco in midday." That's what I mean.
Was that guy gay, or was he mentally ill?
Could have been mentally ill.
You don't know that. Like, you can't just assume that he's doing that in San Francisco.
By the way, he was standing and like, doing that stuff. That's the first thing you can think. That's the first thing I thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not all gay people are mentally ill, Renee.
No, but not all.
No,
that's what I mean.
That's
exactly what I mean. I'm saying there's a lot of respectable people that are gay,
there are
and I'm
people
fine with that.
Also are more flamboyant, or men who are more feminine, and they're also not mentally ill. I think if someone is standing outside naked with a Santa Claus hat on their dick, you have to assume that there might be more problems with them, that they might have a mental problem.
Mike,
or he might just like the attention. I don't know.
Mike, as a feminine male, how do you feel about this?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
All right, guys. And we're back. All right, that was a great. We'd like to thank Edward for coming in on the show and giving us his little thoughts. Little thoughts. That sounds so derogatory. I didn't mean it like that. Thank you very much for giving us his time. Yeah, That was fun. Woo. Wow. Okay, so our second topic today, John, do you want to set us up on our second topic? And this will be our last topic, is our second one. No?
Yeah. Does he know what the second topic is?
Yeah, he does.
I don't know what the second topic is.
He absolutely does.
That's fine. Chris and I have talked off air about different things and conspiracy theories. That's one of the things that I do enjoy looking into.
Oh my God! Do we know? We
honestly,
know,
man, pretty.
I'm glad I'm sitting down on that one, John.
This isn't a bad deal. This is one that's relatively tame. Is probably the best way I can describe it. So
yeah, we
were talking back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, what can you what type of things could we talk about on the podcast that would be conspiracy related that don't have anything to do with politics?" And so I had to rule out a lot.
Yeah. So it's so funny because John decided to talk about your question, Mike.
Yeah.
So what we decided to talk about was CERN. So CERN over in Switzerland and France. Obviously, it's the super collider. Yes, there's a lot of stuff a lot of research that goes on there that's not public. There's a lot of funding by different governments, and anything that has any sort of secrecy in it automatically sparks imaginations of people. And whether it's true or whether it's not, there's a lot of stuff that goes on about there. But probably the biggest conspiracy theory about CERN is that CERN at some point, as they continue to upgrade, and they're upgrading this year going into next year into 2021, they're supposed to reopen after they've done a bunch of upgrades, and they're going to basically be putting more energy into their super collider, where they collide, atoms, protons, neutrons, and so on. So the thing about this and the discussion that goes on with it is that CERN is eventually going to either create one of two things. Is either going to create a small black hole that's going to suck in the Earth and kill us all, or it's going to go nova and create a small star via a small Big Bang and basically burn us all to death.
Okay.
Well, I mean, hopefully
I think.
So, well, first off, let me ask you: how much do you guys even know about CERN? Do you need me to give you more of an explanation of what CERN is, or that type of deal?
It's like.
To be quite honest. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, isn't that like they're colliding atoms?
Were you gonna say something, Renee?
Yeah, they're colliding atoms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they have these chambers. So there's a smaller chamber and then a larger chamber. The larger chamber is about 7 kilometers. It goes through part of France and then up into Switzerland. The smaller chamber is an acceleration chamber. And basically what they do is they supercool atoms, but yet at the same time, they charge them with a massive amount of electricity so that they're charged going through the collider. Once they get up to just about the speed of light, they launch them at opposite directions into the large collider, and then they crash against each other. Now, back in 2012, there was a big thing with them where they said that they had found the Higgs boson particle, which is supposedly the God particle. It's supposedly the particle that existed at the point of the creation of the universe. So they're saying that if they can put more energy in there, they can find more particles and they can find different things like that. The big thing is that the truth is that they have some security and they have some protective features, but the chamber that they're putting this in is cooled down to about the temperature of space, and then they're shooting at the speed of light atoms at each other. So they're basically creating minor explosions in there at 4 different parts during this thing.
Right, because they don't know exactly what the matter is going to do once it collides, and that's what they're basically studying, is the movement of the matter after the collision.
Well, they're studying the field that's created after the explosion.
Right.
Or sorry, after the collision. So does the collision? So if the collision makes and man, if you go on, there's so much craziness on there about, and I just picked the tame parts of this because there's a whole bunch of stuff about, this is really run by the reptilians and they're going to take over the world.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
I just picked the tamest part of this.
Oh, okay.
Well, you do know that, don't they have one here in Stanford, here in Palo Alto? Because I always thought they did.
No, there's they have smaller ones that are really small. There's one in Tennessee. There's one in Missouri. I don't know of one in Stanford.
Oh, they have a big old
called the.
Yeah, I thought they had a collider in Stanford, but it is a small one.
They do.
It's a very small one.
Yeah. It's the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's over here in Sand Hill. Yeah, in Menlo Park. Yeah, so they have one here, because that's where I learned about it. I was watching, the Science Channel, because I watch TV all day for my big brain, my high IQ. Watch TV all day. And that's how I learned about it. That's how I learned about it. I think it's pretty wild. I mean, go ahead, Mike.
I had never heard the science fiction aspect of all of that. I just heard that the physicists and so on were trying to, continue to use this strategy to unlock secrets of the universe in terms of, how matter is created, dealing with dark matter, which I think scientists believe makes up about 80% of the universe, and we can't see it, which is very interesting. But it definitely, it has a gravitational element to it. And that's how we even know it's there. But it doesn't have a visual element to it. In other words, we cannot see it. We can't even see it on the spectrum of light. But it does definitely register a gravitational pull, which is one of the big forces in our universe, is gravity, obviously. But I didn't know there was a science fiction element to that. So that's news to me.
Well, that's the part of this that becomes so interesting, is that they don't know what they're going to get if they keep increasing size, and they keep increasing the size of the collisions. So they're saying that, yes, they can find more, or if they make a bigger collision, they can find new particles because the trace evidence will be larger. The fear is that they're going to make a collision that's so bad that it's possible to cause a pulsar as well, which basically just any of the bad stuff always ends in the Earth is getting destroyed. Mm-hmm. So black hole, pulsar, supernova, whatever, everything ends up with all of us getting murdered.
Interesting.
I've heard that they're trying to create antimatter. And right. I guess because if you can get that, they found out that antimatter can fuel like spacecraft and stuff like that, and possibly break that barrier, that speed of light barrier. And but it's so hard to get it, and then when you do get it, it doesn't last very long. So I don't know, that's what I've heard. I don't know, maybe there's something to do with that. They're trying to create some kind of fuel for spaceships or something. I don't know.
Do you guys think that there's, do you guys, simple question, do you believe that there's ET life forms out there? Do you guys believe there's aliens?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Do you believe our leadership has made contact with the aliens?
No.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. John, Renee?
My thing locked up, so I didn't even hear the question. I just started hearing people say yes.
Do you believe aliens have made contact with our leaders?
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go with that one? See, I don't, honestly, this may piss some people off, but a lot of stuff I say piss people off. So I don't think that there is such a thing as aliens. I don't think that particular thing, something that's extraterrestrial, I don't think that exists. I think there are things such as things from angels and demons and things like that. But I don't think there's life on other planets that's coming here and doing things.
Okay. I think they're multi-dimensional beings. That's what I think.
Well, we have about 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Is that fair to say? Or is
Yes.
that just science? And there are about 100 billion
Wait,
galaxies.
what kind of question was that?
Well, is that a fair?
You know this, or is it just
Here
science?
we
That's
go.
what.
Like,
Well, I mean, is that an acceptable premise that science has determined there are around 100 billion stars in our galaxy?
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
yeah, we can estimate that.
Okay, then, and there are approximately 100, as far as we again estimate, around 100 billion galaxies that we can guesstimate. You
Yes.
know. Okay, and
See,
with
once-
that,
all right. So once we get to that point, we're automatically into theoretical thinking, because there's absolutely, you can go in there and you can have a computer scan stars and scan screens, and you can do things like that where it actually does a count of what's visible to us as far as stars go. There's no possible way for anybody to estimate with any sort of accuracy whatsoever how many galaxies there are.
oh
there's-
yes,
there's
oh yes,
So much
oh
that
yes.
we can't see that's out there.
Well, it's not
So,
seeing it. What
there's
it's
no
through.
way.
Okay, there have been experiments, John. I know this. I mean, from in Australia, specifically, and because the southern hemisphere is much clearer, so they can do studies. But they've studied the speed of different galaxies moving away from Earth, and they can tell by the light spectrum in each galaxy has a specific little wiggle to it that allows it to be identified. And they've identified literally thousands and thousands and thousands of galaxies moving away from Earth at various speeds, which is verifying the Big Bang Theory, the fact that things are moving away. One of the tricky questions to that is, why are the galaxies way out there moving faster when, if it was the normal physics that we're used to, like a gun, a bullet goes faster and then it slows down? Well, why are the galaxies further out actually moving away from us faster than the ones that are nearer to us?
It's expanding.
Well, we are, and the only explanation they have to that point is dark matter, because we just don't know. It's a gravitational pull, but we just don't know. But they've been able to identify many lots of galaxies. So again, it's a speculation, John, to say there's 100 billion, but the whole point of that was to simply say, if you look at the size of things, the absolute unbelievable scope and size of the universe, and to say, nope, we're it. You are here. Humans is all there is. That idea is inconceivable to me. And if that were the case, how disappointing we are. How friggin' disappointing we are.
Man, so you and I are on the opposite spectrum of that. I would think, if you say how disappointing, I would say how special we are, how unique we are, how we stand in a much different light than any place else. And Mike, are you familiar with the Drake equation?
Yes.
Okay.
That basically the notion, no, it's the idea behind the Drake equation is he came up with a formula to determine the probability of, came up with like 17 different things, I believe, right, John? Something like that, 17 different factors to determine the probability of life in other areas, correct? Something like that? Okay.
Correct.
And never, obviously so far we're striking out on it. We send out literally millions of signals every day into the universe, and so far we're getting back nothing. We're getting back no signals of any kind to indicate that there's any kind of life out there so far.
Because we're primitive.
So here's the thing with Drake's equation, though. So there's 7 different things that takes into account. So there's the number of planets, the number of star formations, so on and so on. I don't want to kill everybody or put everybody to sleep. Here's the thing. So you multiply the amount of planets by the amount of stars, by the amount of galaxies, so on and so forth. The last number that's in there is the amount of contacts that we've had with aliens that you can have physical proof of beyond a shadow of a doubt. How many planets have you found that have alien life form on them? And
None.
that answer is 0. So the equation is always going to end up being at 0 because 0 times anything is 0. That's my point with Drake's equation. Until you physically find that thing, it's
what I feel
not there.
Okay, imagine some planet out there that has life on it, right? And they're evolved to the point where they're throwing out smoke signals. And every day they go out there and they throw out smoke signals, right? And they say, you know what? Every day we throw out smoke signals and we haven't had anybody see our smoke signals or contact us. That's what I feel when we talk about us as humans. We're throwing out radio waves and primitive things that if there's the possibility of life out there, there's a possibility that there might be life out there that's millions of years more advanced than us if they didn't destroy themselves. Millions, because there's galaxies and universes and all that are, or galaxies that are millions of years older than ours. So if life evolved on a planet and they were able to not kill themselves, and there's a possibility that those life forms are a million years more advanced than us. Us as humans have only been advanced-wise, have only been around for a couple of hundreds of years, right? Not even that. I mean, not even that. I don't think. When was the first computer created? So think about that. So then we're sending out these radio waves. We don't even know if they're even able to comprehend what a radio wave is because they're so much more advanced. I don't know if you heard about. There's this big radio dish in Puerto Rico.
It just crashed.
Yeah, that one
crashed.
Well,
it crashed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say about.
It's called Arecibo. It's called Arecibo.
Yeah, Arecibo. About I don't know if this is true or not, but it's out there. If you look it up, it says that about 30, 40, maybe 50 years ago, or when Drake and the other guy, they send out a signal.
Right. And it's called the Arecibo message. The Arecibo message.
Yeah, that one. Right. Well, supposedly there was a message received. I don't know how true this is or not. And it says that, so on that message, we say, okay, there's this many planets in our solar system. We live on the third rock. This is what we're made of. This is our DNA. All this information about humans.
Right.
And then there was a signal that was received back, and it gave us the information about their solar system, and that they live on like the 3rd, 5th, and 4th or 6th planet they have on their solar system, and that they showed their DNA, and it was very close to ours, but in place of something in our DNA, their dominant is silicon, and then it says that then it showed the antenna which the message was sent, and then it showed their antenna, and theirs is a microwave antenna. So we're so I don't know how true it is or not, but it was like a crop circle that was found with all this information, and it was like very precise, and all the DNA structure and everything was perfect, and the way it was sent back to us, it almost seemed like very real, but the difference was that we're sending out radio signals and they're on it microwaves. So who knows, they may be more advanced than us. Like, that's probably why. Or we may just be a prison planet, where they don't touch us, they know not to mess with us, they know that we're primitive, that we wouldn't understand, whatever it may be. I know it's hard to believe that because you're a very religious person, and you want to say,
he's reading your body language, John. He's reading your body language.
Yeah, I mean,
we can't see him. We can't see him. I can anyway.
I can see him. You can't.
Well,
but
I mean, come on. We
go
are
ahead,
talking to John, who talks about lizard people.
Chris, I just want to say that I was right that we should have talked about Roswell as opposed to.
Okay, so saying that.
Here's wait. Here's the thing. Let me respond to Renee. So Renee, you're making so many assumptions with what you're saying. Though. Oh my gosh.
Calling the kettle black.
Okay. Hold on.
Wait. Let me respond.
Let me just say one thing though. Is it an assumption to say that if there was a primitive people on another planet sending out smoke signals, that might be the reason why we haven't found them, because they're sending out smoke signals?
It's too far away. Everything's too far away for us. Our technology hasn't caught up yet. That's all. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
John, speak. Go ahead, John.
All right. So here's the thing. So number one, in order to do that, oh man, I'm going to just piss everybody off. So just be ready for it. So right off the bat, you're having to assume that evolution happens the same everywhere as it does here. So life evolved, or life sprang out of nothing, which I don't believe. Obviously, being a Christian, I don't believe that life and matter just sprang out of nowhere. That doesn't make
Okay. Do you believe in evolution?
Wait. Let me go through this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then you're assuming all kinds of things about how, okay, so now we've assumed that these people have evolved out there. We've assumed that we're sending things that they can't understand. We're assuming that they don't want to touch our planet. We're assuming that all of these things, or that we can even reach somewhere across the galaxy or whatever. The other thing too that no one's talking about is that, and this is something that's a recent thing with physics, is that in astronomy, is that we're in a gravity well. And we didn't know that for a long time. So being in a gravity well, everything travels slower. So light travels slower, radio signals travel. Obviously, if you were to put a craft out there, the craft is going to travel slower. So if we're going out there and we're looking at these things saying, okay, the speed of light is constant from this star to us, there's no possible way we can do that. So we can't say, hey, this is millions of light years away with 100% accuracy. Because if you're within a gravity well, the gravity pulls the light and slows it down. That's a huge thing. Stephen Hawking has this whole book on the effect of gravity across the universe, across physics, and what different things it affects and how it affects. It's a really great book. You can also read The Universe in a Nutshell, which he did, which is another phenomenal book that really just kind of separates some of this stuff out. That's the thing. If we can't say definitively that we go out and we find these things, then Drake's equation is always going to be zero, because the answer to that planet, that inhabited planet, is always going to be zero.
You know, you being a Christian, I don't understand what you're saying right now, because the whole premise of God is unproven, and it's only what you feel. so like, prove that.
I don't want to go there. I want to ask another question.
I'm fine to go with that.
Hold on, guys. Time's up. This show.
But think about that.
Next
Think
week.
about what you're saying, and then you say you're Christian. You believe in something that you can't even see or can't even prove. But then you want to say, no, hold
you
on.
haven't asked me to prove it yet, so you can't assume that I can't prove it.
Hold on. Then you're saying,
please.
Then you want to say like I'm crazy for assuming, just like you're assuming there's a God. I'm crazy for assuming that someone not be able to see smoke signals from one planet to another, because that's their technology at the time. I don't know.
Okay.
So one, I never said you were crazy.
Let's put it.
I said you made a hell of a lot of assumptions, though.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Chris, are we done?
We are done until Wednesday, where we get to talk about Roswell and the God.
Oh.
John, if you can send us out.
Oh my God. I just got a pain in my heart. I hope God's not punishing me.
Hey, you know what? Just to be safe, you better ask him and make sure things are cool between you two. So, thank you for listening to We Could Be Wrong.
By the way, I am.
And I'm just going to talk over Renee the whole time. So, thank you for listening to We Could Be Wrong. I'm John. Again, I'm the only host that's right 170% of the time. Have a great week. Have a great time. No one's here can disagree with that. See you.